Fantastic. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's masterclass about getting the most from an incubation experience. My name is Rochelle Thoreau. I'm a program associate with VentureWell's Global Ventures team, and we are so excited to bring you this program in partnership with the U.S. Department of State's Global Innovation through Science and Technology Initiative, otherwise known as GIST. Our GIST initiative empowers science and technology innovators in over 130 emerging economies, and it catalyzes startup solutions that address economic and developmental challenges throughout the world by hosting programs such as these and others like our startup trainings, pitch competitions, and lots more. Today, we are so thrilled to have all of you join us from many places around the world for this masterclass, which is meant to help you understand how incubation programs work, how to know if they are a fit for you, and how to prepare for one. As a reminder, although this masterclass is happening in conjunction with the close of our own recent GIST business incubation application, this particular program is meant to be about any incubation program, not just GIST program. This class will not answer specific questions about just business incubation program like an info session would, but rather during this class, our goal is to help focus on the broader entrepreneurial ecosystem and all incubation program opportunities that you may come across during your startup career. Just a few housekeeping notes. We ask that you please keep yourself muted for the duration of the meeting, just to avoid any audio feedback, but we will answer questions that we have time for, so please be sure to share those in the chat, and I know we'll be prompting you with a few things as well. This session is also being recorded and will be posted on our website, so you can revisit the video anytime, or please share it with others who may benefit as well. So without further ado, I'm so thrilled to hand this over to our amazing instructor for today, Miranda Williamson. She is the Director of Recruitment at SeedSpot. Miranda, welcome, and thank you so much for putting this class together.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Rochelle. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm really excited to be joined here with some special guests who I know from my work working in accelerators, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll go ahead and introduce our special guests a little bit later. So today we're talking about the art of selecting an accelerator, setting your business up for success. I was very intentional about the title because I do believe there is a lot of skills to learn as you navigate this really interesting process that is an application process, that is selecting an accelerator, that is understanding the difference between an accelerator and an incubator in this very specific startup ecosystem. So I am going to get into all of that, but let's not get ahead of myself. Let's start with my intention. So as I said, my intention today is to share insights to help you find the right accelerator, get selected, and make the most of that opportunity once you are selected. On the agenda today are introductions. I'll introduce myself and the guests I have joining me today. We'll talk about why join an accelerator. I'll work to demystify the admissions process, and there is a very strong reason I have chosen this order of going first with demystifying the admissions process and building a strong application, and then into finding an accelerator. It may seem counterintuitive, but I promise it'll make sense as we go through our discussion today. Then we'll have a discussion on how to make the most of this experience. And this will mostly be led by our guests today, who will definitely have a lot of insights on why and how you can make the most of this experience. So introductions, well, before I get into introducing myself, I'd love to hear from you all. I'd love to hear your name, where you are from, the name of your business, what industry you are in, and one accelerator you would like to join. I'd love you to drop that in the chat, and I'm also going to put that in the chat so that you don't have to remember everything I just said. So your name, where you are from, the name of your business, what industry you are in, and name one accelerator you would like to join. If you don't know one accelerator you would like to join, that's okay. Hopefully you'll have some ideas on how to identify one by the end of our conversation today. So, who are we? So I'm Miranda Williamson. I'm the Director of Recruitment at SeedSpot, as Rochelle mentioned. I have more than 10 years of experience in admissions and recruiting, and I specifically build admissions and recruiting infrastructure that reflect the values and intentions of the organization. So I've worked in graduate education admissions and recruiting for social justice programs like peace building, conflict resolution, and social innovation. Social innovation is a collaboration between peace building and business. So that's where my work working with entrepreneurs came in. I transitioned to working in accelerator programs for the past 6 years now. And in particular, like I said, building the recruiting and admissions infrastructure. And why I mention that multiple times is because I'm really well situated to unravel what happens behind the scenes to help you all understand how to successfully navigate this process. And I do believe there is some intentional mystery around this process that doesn't need to be there. I personally don't think there should be any trick questions on the test. I don't think you should be in the dark about how this process works, because by understanding it, you'll know how to navigate each step of this process to be successful and set yourself up for success, as well as spend your time in a way that makes sense for you and apply to the accelerator programs that are going to get you the support and resources that you need and that you're most likely to get into. We'll talk in detail about all of that in a moment, but I'd love to introduce you to our two guests. Today, we're joined here by two entrepreneurs that I have had the joy and pleasure of working with throughout my career, and that is Samuel Lastini and Alexis Amani Zimbabwe. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to my friend Samuel to introduce himself and his business at this time. Samuel, go ahead and unmute and introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you so much, Miranda. And I'm really excited for this session and to be part of this conversation and to help the starters in terms of helping them in the application process of their intentions to join an accelerator program. So my name is Samuel Asiti from Kenya, and I'm the founder of Wakulima ni Sisi Initiative. Wakulima ni Sisi Initiative is a community-based organization that is under LEAP Empowerment and Development Initiative. And we support and transform pastoral and rural agricultural communities through regenerative agriculture to ensure there is enhanced food production and nutrition security.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Sorry.
There we go. We just had a little bit of a delay. Go ahead, Samuel.
Oh, yeah. So Wakulima ni Sisi is a Swahili name, meaning we are the farmers, and it stresses on food sovereignty, which is the ability for farmers to produce food that is culturally and healthy appropriately. And also farmers that are able to work on land and in terms of restoring the land. So Wakulima ni Sisi support these farmers and pastoral communities to promote food security. So really, I'm also, excuse me, sorry. I'm also a project lead of an interesting project in Kenya, which is project lead for a social innovation eco village through Empower and Serve Kenya, which is a non-profit organization that is supporting youth in Kenya through social innovation projects and also sustainability projects. So I'm really excited to be part of this conversation today.
Thank you so much, Samuel. And I believe Amani is not here with us yet, but I'll go ahead and introduce Amani anyways, because I think his story is really incredible and hopefully he'll be joining us in a moment. So Amani is a friend of mine who I met probably more than 6 years ago now through the admissions process at a graduate program that I worked for. Amani did not get into the graduate program, but we stayed in touch over the years. And I was able to finally get him into an accelerator program the last about 3 years ago. Now, what Amani did is Amani grew up as a street child on the streets of Rwanda during the 1994 genocide. And through his experiences being put in jail and being diminished and not given opportunities, he finally was given the opportunity to learn how to read. And through reading, he realized he could join school. And he joined school and excelled to the top of his class. And through education, learned that he had opportunities available to him. And he wanted to share those opportunities with the street children of Rwanda. So he launched a social enterprise. It's a nonprofit called Sheer Love Rwanda. Their original iteration of this organization made handmade backpacks out of traditional Rwandan fabric. And those backpacks were sold and all the proceeds went to provide opportunities for street children of Rwanda to get education in order to be able to have the types of opportunities that he found through education. So Amani was given quite a few opportunities on his journey. One was internships and accelerator programs. As I mentioned, he kept in touch with me and joined an accelerator program at Watson Institute, same one that Samuel also joined, and was able to come to Boulder, Colorado, and really learn through that experience the valuable skills of building a business, the network to do proper fundraising for a nonprofit. And through that has been afforded many other opportunities, including mentorship and coaching. But I'm getting quite ahead of myself. I'm going to go ahead and transition into the conversation of why join an accelerator. Now, I don't think that you have to join an accelerator in order to have a successful business. Data and information does show that businesses that do join an accelerator do tend to be more successful. However, I'm gonna caveat that. That could be because accelerators select businesses that have more potential to be successful. So I want to say that I don't think that everyone has to join an accelerator to be successful. However, an accelerator does provide a package of skills and tools, as well as mentorship and a network in one package, where as an individual, you would have to go out and find all these things on your own. So there is a strong benefit to joining an accelerator. I do believe strongly in education. As you heard, I built my career in education, and I do believe strongly in these programs. But I also believe that this is not something you must have in order to be successful. And I want to make that very clear. So let's talk some definitions. I think it's important to ground us all in a framework of understanding, because there are a lot of words in this ecosystem that may be a bit confusing. So let's talk definitions. First, I'm talking about an accelerator. So an accelerator has some key components to it. It's usually a set time frame. By the nature of the name of it, accelerator, it's a set time frame for which you're accelerating your business. There's usually a cost associated with it, whether that's equity in your business or a price tag. It's usually a cohort model, and there's mentoring, education, and networks that come with it. Now, I'm going to read you a definition that I really liked in my research for our conversation today. Accelerators are programs where startups will have intense contact with the entrepreneurial and innovation universe to transform their business and make them attractive to large investments in a short time. The main focus of an accelerator is to ensure the scalability of the business that resides in it. In accelerating startups, they will have access to specific mentoring, growth, and survival programs for business development, and contact with a network that can greatly accelerate the business journey. I just love that definition, and I love specifically the universe of entrepreneurial and innovation, because it is a very unique space that has its own language. Incubator. So what is the difference between an accelerator and an incubator? Incubator is usually for local startups. It usually, but I think more and more in this virtual world, contains a space, but less about office space in this time and more about a set space. And it's progress bounded. I think that's a key difference. An incubator is usually based on making a specific amount of progress rather than having a set time set. I have another definition I'd like to give you. Business incubators are designed to help early innovators create an achievable plan to take their product to market. In addition to mentorship and investment opportunities, a business incubator gives young companies access to logistical and technical resources, as well as shared office space. Because every company develops at its own pace, an incubator program can last anywhere from several months to a few years. The goal is to give startups the tools and knowledge they need to stand on their own feet. I like that definition as well. Programs. So there are programs. And as Samuel mentioned, Samuel was in a program that was not considered an accelerator or an incubator. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that in a minute and how that benefited his business. And they usually offer mentoring, education, networks as well, and their cohort models. And they often come at a low cost as far as they rarely are attached to any sort of equity. Okay, as I said, this may seem to appear out of order as we move through, but I'm going to go ahead and start with how does the admissions process work? Okay, so attend an info session. That is often a first step to learning about a particular accelerator. Then you'll submit an online application by a specific deadline that is reviewed by an individual or a team of individuals at the accelerator. It may have an interview component. Then, based on the interview and your submitted application, you're evaluated, your business is evaluated for program fit. Is this business the right fit for this particular program? If it's determined that yes, your business is the right fit, you'd be extended an offer letter, an acceptance letter, and then you'll often sign an agreement. And in some cases where there is a price tag, you may be required to make a small deposit to confirm your spot in the accelerator. Building a strong application. Okay, this is where we're getting into the weeds now. And I really want to share my insights. And these are my 6 pro tips for building a strong application. Now, I'm going to talk about all these, and Rochelle is going to send this PowerPoint out to you in a follow-up email. So you do not need to take notes. You will have this to refer to. There will often be essays involved in building an application. Do not answer the questions with one sentence unless you are asked to answer in one sentence. Otherwise, oftentimes you're given an allotted amount of characters or an allotted amount of words. Use that space to fully answer the prompts. Don't lose sight of those prompts as well. Respond directly to the questions. For example, if you are asked, and I can't tell you how many times in my applications, I've asked for 2 to 3 sentences on your business, and I end up with a whole backstory about why this work is important. Don't lose sight of the prompts, respond to those prompts. Remember that grammar is important, so I recommend getting a proofreader for your work. You are being invested in as well through an accelerator program. It's not just your business. It's you as an entrepreneur, you as a founder. Your work is being invested in, and it's important that you put your best self forward. So be specific as well. The strongest applications are very specific. Who is your customer? How many units have you sold? How many people have you served? Very specific numbers, specific metrics, very specific. We love to understand very quickly what it is that your business does. And this one is great. A personal story. What drives you? Samuel and Amani both will be able to attest to how challenging it is to be an entrepreneur. It can be a very lonely journey, and it can be a very challenging journey. And having your personal story shared, where we know why you're connected to this work, why you are driven to do this work, is very valuable in the admissions process to understanding you and what keeps you going when challenging. Submit your application early if you can. There are often issues that arise that can be unforeseen. For example, maybe the power goes out and then you have to write in and say your application is going to be late. Maybe you don't receive an email confirmation. If you submit your application early, you don't receive that email confirmation, you send an email to the admissions team, they can get back to you. If you submit on the deadline, they're going to have an inbox full of emails. So they might not be able to get to you in time to make it through the process. So definitely, if you're putting so much work into this process, submit your application early. Additional tips. So, letters of recommendation. Some accelerators will require letters of recommendation, and previous success is a great predictor of future success. So if you have been successful in a related program, if you've been successful in a position that relates to your business, this is a great predictor of your ability to be successful in the future. Resume. You can make every line count in this resume. Experience is key. What experience in your previous roles have been able to inform you as you build your business? Maybe you have experience working retail and you're launching a retail business. That is relevant and that is crucial, and we want to know that. An interview is great. I love conducting interviews. It gives me a chance to get to know the entrepreneur. This is an opportunity to demonstrate your professionalism. Show up on time, dress for success, and whatever that means within your cultural context. You are not expected to be someone else. Be yourself and show your personality, but bring that with a layer of professionalism and leadership. Video content. Some will also ask for video content. Maybe it's a 2-minute video, maybe it's a pitch video, maybe it's responding to a specific prompt. I think a lot of folks get stopped up on this video content, and I want to talk a bit about what you don't have to do as well. You do not have to have a highly produced video. Zoom is completely fine, or your iPhone, using your iPhone. This does not have to be highly produced video content. Don't let it stop you up. This will be another opportunity for you to show your professionalism, show your personality, show your passion, and show your knowledge about the work that you're doing and about your business. But don't let the technicality, like you think you have to have all kinds of highly produced content in your video. That is not what the admissions team is looking for. Your pitch deck. If you're unclear about what a pitch deck is, don't worry. We're going to talk about that as well. But your pitch deck should be visual and clear and clean. If they're asking for your pitch deck, make sure it's a version that makes sense standing on its own. I cannot stress this last one enough. Every interaction counts. Every interaction counts in this process, meaning show up to the info session in a way that you would be proud of. Show up to interactions with the admissions team in a way that is courteous and respectful. Every interaction, every email counts. The people behind the scenes on these teams are often small groups of human beings who care very deeply about the work that they're doing, but they also work with a lot of different entrepreneurs, and all these interactions will contribute to the overall package that is you and your business. I'd love to actually pause here and bring in Samuel to speak to your experience during your admissions processes. Is there anything you can share that you learned? Maybe I missed a point, or maybe there's one point you'd like to emphasize most that I made.
Oh, yeah, it's good. She's mentioned about the pros and cons of while applying for an accelerator. And one thing that stood out is the video point. I know I was somehow like fearing, how am I going to make a video and I don't have a high quality phone, or I don't have a high quality computer video to have a good video. But I followed the instructions, and I clearly read that they really didn't have required that, and I just made a video, talked about my story. I was pretty clear and precise, answering the question as they were asking. And that's how I ended up securing some funding for the next level, which I was missing. So I got funding first in Kenya, and then I had to make a video so that I can get the top funding to be accepted or to get the full scholarship. So the video part was very important, but it didn't really had a lot of hardships in making. I just created a video and followed the instructions.
Thank you so much for that insight, Samuel. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that can be often a scary component when we see that video content is required. And I'm glad we're able to alleviate some concerns here. Okay, we're gonna really transition here to how do you find an accelerator? And I just got word from our second guest, Amani, who I introduced earlier. He's joining us. They had a very bad storm in Rwanda, and he's able to join us a little bit late. But we'll hopefully bring Amani and Samuel's perspectives in on how they actually found an accelerator, because I believe both Amani and especially Samuel, you were connected in your local community, in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in your local community. And that's how Samuel really heard about the accelerator that he ended up joining. But I think there are some key things to consider when you're looking for an accelerator. And one key thing is get clarity on what industries your business falls into. I just asked earlier to put in the chat what industry your business falls into, and that's okay if you don't have a full understanding of that at this moment, but definitely is something you'll want to get done. For example, there will be accelerators that are very specific to med tech or ed tech or health and wellness. They're very specific to certain industries. And I think it's very important to know what industries your work falls into. Another reason is there are certain language that are pretty broad. Like there is this term we use in the US, community health equity. And that might sound like it's addressing health issues, like physical health issues. But actually what it means is the health and wellness of your community. And it can expand into financial health and wellness, access to education and literacy. It's a broad definition and a broad term. So getting that clarity of where your business falls will help you identify an accelerator that can support you in the niche fields that you're in the niche industries that you're in. Know what stage your work is in as well. I have some stage that we use here at SeedSpot. That's where I'm currently working. But many accelerators will use different terminology for the various stages. I think that our stages are very easy to understand and accessible. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some definitions for these stages. So idea. So an idea has made research and has an idea for a business. So you've done some research and you have an idea. Prototype. Prototyping businesses are doing customer discovery. So you're discovering who your customers are. You're doing some work in that area. Revenue generating. I think that might be pretty self-explanatory, but those are the businesses that are introduce the product and service to the market and are beginning to generate that early revenue. Financially viable businesses have achieved or exceeded the break-even point where they're making as much spending within the business. Profitable businesses, maybe you're making a profit, but you have a small team. And then growing, you're hiring staff, you're growing your business, and scaling has achieved a plan for scalability. So determine what stage you are in so you can find the accelerator that will support you. Know your needs as well. And that means know what your main needs are within your business. Is it building a strong financial model? Is it a sustainable revenue model? Do you need a network and connections? If funding is a big need of yours, does the accelerator teach you how to write grants? Do they connect you with potential investors? Do they provide the resources you need to connect to the funding sources you need? Funding is the most common, I would say, need of a new business. So So make sure that the accelerator really meets the needs. Another strong need, I'd say, would be leadership development. Oftentimes, as entrepreneurs, we wear many hats within our business. We're doing a lot of work. Maybe we're super talented at the specific thing that we're doing, but we don't necessarily know how to lead a team. We don't necessarily have those leadership skills to go out and ask for investment. Does the accelerator build you up as a founder and as a leader within your business? I mentioned this piece too, this final one. What are your learning needs? What are your learning needs? And what I mean by that, are you neurodivergent? Are you dyslexic? Do you have sight issues? Do you have certain ways and learning styles that you prefer? And is the accelerator able to meet those needs and accommodate you? There are many out there that can meet all of those needs and more. Make sure that you understand that they can meet your specific needs. I'd love to bring in Samuel and ask Samuel, in selecting an accelerator, oh, it looks like Samuel dropped off and rejoined. Pretty common issue. And we're just also joined by Amani as well. Hello, Amani, welcome. I introduced you earlier. Thanks for being here, even in the storm. Really appreciate it. Amani, when you were selecting an accelerator, I'd love to hear from you. What was it that was most important to know about your own business, to know about Sheer Love Rwanda, to make sure that you found the right accelerator?
Oh, thank you so much. And at first, I want to know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you so much. And at first, I want to say that I'm very sorry for being late. We had just like a very good day at Sheer Love Rwanda. This is the last day for all the children to pick their school reports. But around 3-something, just the lane came in to just end the day. And that's why I'm a bit late. Yeah, but specific to the question that you asked me, one of the big things that I can tell everybody who is here, especially in the space of starting a social business, having an accelerator program is one of the big things that we really need, and we really struggle to find the right one. And one of the big things that I had been trying to avoid before was to get into an accelerator program. Miranda know that I one day applied for a master's degree, and I was struggling, is it the right thing that I should pursue? And then when it reached to accelerator programs, there are so many sometimes, and you are just in the struggle of trying to find the best one that really fits your category. And one of the big things that I really enjoyed was to have someone who really knows my ability, who knows the space where I'm working from. And specifically, I'm talking about you, Miranda, because when I interacted with you, I knew that you know about Rwanda, so you know what works here and you know what doesn't work. And one of the big problem when social entrepreneurs are trying to get resources is they are trying to catch everything that they can and thinking that it is going to benefit. So some of the accelerator programs where my friends that I know get involved into, they just go there, they learn something, and they never apply anything. So one of the big things that I considered when I wanted to join Watson was that I looked at the overview of the programs and I knew exactly what I was looking for. I had this amazing idea that was no longer an idea, it was working. So like we had a few children that we were supporting, but we were at the stage that we needed to add more professionalism. Everybody that I met always loves the work that we are doing, but I lacked the way to portray, like to present this amazing impact that we are making and make it known and give the world to understand what we are doing. So I knew the stage that I was at. So I knew the specific skills that I wanted to develop. So before, I just had the passion, and I was just using the passion to drive everything. But I reached to the stage that I know now we need the skills. Now we need to put our finance in line. And now which accelerator program has this? I was there as the manager, as the founder, as the executive director. I had a second person, but we didn't have those positions. So we didn't know, like, how do we structure the organization so that everyone knows their own role? So I was kind of doing this thing and this thing and this thing. Sometimes I'm teaching. I'm not supposed to do it, but I didn't have a structure. So I needed somewhere I can learn that leadership organization so that I would put everything together. And we needed also to find out that we wanted to grow and scale our impact, because it was proven that our approach was working. But I didn't know how do I scale impact. So reaching to that stage was easy and was very helpful for me. But I wanted another big idea. So I knew that ShareLove was going to grow, but I didn't know how. So the big thing that the Watson program, which is like the accelerator program that I attended, it really helped me, was to show me the skills that I didn't have. Like, sincerely speaking, I thought, like, I have this amazing idea, it's working. I'm a big guy, I can do everything. But I realized that I can just do a few things and do them better, then develop other skills from the accelerator program. And then I learned that I needed someone. I needed a team. Then the accelerator program was the one to give me that idea. How do you build a team? So I think, like, to cut the whole thing short, like, that's the big thing. I knew the basis where I am. I knew the skills that I needed first before I joined the accelerator program. Thank you.
Thank you, Amani. I really appreciate that perspective. And I really appreciate that you spoke to each of these pieces, and you also spoke to a piece that I didn't mention, which was knowing that the accelerator program can understand your specific needs in the context in which you're at. Mani and I knew each other. He knew that I understood Rwanda, and he knew that I wouldn't recommend something to him and to ShareLove Rwanda that wasn't a good fit. And that was his entry point. Yours may be different, but understanding that the accelerator program is going to be able to support your specific needs given the context in which you're working. Really, really valuable point that I did not touch on. Thank you for adding that, Amani. Samuel, I'd love to bring in your perspective. What did you really feel you needed to know about your business in order to make the right decision about an accelerator?
Okay, so with me and Wakulima Nisisi, I was in the early stages of my idea, and we already had gotten startup funding to take our idea, and we redesigned our idea just a little bit, and we went to the community and started working. And we did a piloting before I joined the accelerator program. So after the pilot project, I was in a period of wanting to know how am I going to now implement fully the idea and reach out to as many people as possible with our idea. Working with farmers, how are we going to train more farmers with our idea now that we have tested it and we have seen that there's people are embracing it, they're buying into it. And at that stage is when I entered into another leadership program. I was learning a bit, introduced to social entrepreneurship, learning a little bit component of business modeling. And I learned, like, just the overall or the bigger picture of a business plan model, but I didn't really get into the details of it. So it was not really coming into realization of putting these components of a business model together. So I didn't have the confidence or understanding of the why or clarity on my idea on how am I going to scale up to the next level. And that's when I saw Watson Institute, the opportunity came, and I had to look also on what it was offering. And when I saw the components and what the accelerator program was offering, I knew exactly that is what was going to bridge the gaps that I had for me to take my venture into the next level of scaling up or implementing and starting the fundraising campaign for my initiative. So many pieces were missing. I had gaps, but now when I saw Watson, I had to go for it because I knew this the opportunity that I wanted.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Samuel. Yes, great insights. So basically, to recap, to set yourself up for success, know the focus area of the accelerator. As both Amani and Samuel spoke to, Watson Institute is where they attended, and the focus of that accelerator was social impact focused businesses. That was the focus of that accelerator. So knowing the focus of the accelerator, what types of businesses do they support, and is it specific to the types of needs that you have? Know what stage of venture the accelerator works with. Both Amani and Samuel were up and going. They both had a business, but they were really looking to move to that next level of growth. And so they knew very specifically what stage, and they were honest with themselves about what stage they were in and where they could go and what they needed. And that helped them make the right decision. Be realistic about the time it will take to build a strong application. I've seen a lot of applications that come my way that look like someone spent 10 minutes on it. You want to be realistic about that time, sit down and really give it the time it deserves. And to speak to that a bit more, build a base application. Build one out in a Word document, a Google form, whatever makes sense to you. Build out a base application that you can copy and paste from and make small edits to speak directly to the prompts. But build that base application that has key components that most applications are going to ask for, which is your founder bio, your basically what your business is, who your customer is, what your impact is, these key components that have a skeleton that you can build from. Know the basic logistics of the accelerator. So timing. Accelerators in the US are in multiple different time zones. Know that the timing is going to work for you. How much of it is asynchronous? And when I say asynchronous, I mean that you can do on your own time, on your own schedule, and know how much of it is synchronous, is meeting with your cohort at a very specific time. Know that you can make that work. It is not worth your time and energy to join or apply to an accelerator that you cannot make work for your life. Take advantage of the resources available by the program. You remember when I gave you that flow about 4 slides ago, and I had the first step 1, attend an info session? I mean that. If the program offers an info session or an open house, attend that. If they offer individual conversations with admissions counselors, set that up. Take advantage of the resources available so you know you're making the right decision. And don't be afraid to ask. Most programs have a me, as both Samuel and Amani can attest to. I'm happy to answer their questions. I want to make sure that they have the right information and resources to know that they're making the right decision. So take advantage of the admissions counselors if they're available and ask the questions that you need to ask. And leverage all the feedback you can about the process. So ask about the process and learn about what it's going to entail. And then finally, if you are not admitted, ask for feedback as to why you were not admitted. This can be very helpful. And I can tell you in my career, as someone who does this work, very few people ask. And it can be really valuable to know if you just weren't the right fit, or if it was something you did in your application that set you off the track that you wanted to be on. The worst that's going to happen is you're not going to get an answer. That's the worst, and that's not that bad. And finally, this is key. If the program has a fee associated to it, don't be afraid to negotiate. Not everyone will allow negotiations, but again, the worst that's going to happen is they're going to say, no, we don't negotiate, the fee is set as is. And come to the negotiation from a place of power. And what I mean by that is, hey, Miranda at SeedSpot, you are offering me this program at a $2,000 cost. I've been offered a spot at this other program for a $1,000 cost. You're my first choice. If you can match that, I would love to attend with you, Miranda at SeedSpot. That is from a position of power. You have choices, you have options, and you're negotiating from that position. And don't be afraid to engage in that process. I know it can be very uncomfortable, but it is definitely worthwhile. And my final piece of advice for selecting an accelerator is actually a piece of advice that I gained from an adventure runner that I recently interviewed for my personal podcast. So this runner, he runs races that are 160 kilometers. So very big, long distance races in the mountains. And he shared with me what he does is he has a couple of really big, lofty goals, really big adventures that he puts on a list. He puts these big lists together and puts those lofty goals. And then around them, he has all these little adventures that help him to train, to have a good adventure. And they're not in any particular order. It's just when the time arises that is right for these little adventures, these smaller opportunities, he takes them. And I liked that analogy for being an entrepreneur because the journey of entrepreneurship isn't always linear. It's not like you build a ladder to that big adventure and you can just climb. As I think both Samuel and Amani will speak, is sometimes you make some strides forward and then you make some strides back, or something happens in the world like a global pandemic that's out of your control and your customer changes completely. The way your business functions changes completely. So I don't want to look at it as like a linear path towards these big grand adventures. I look at it more of a journey where you're waiting for the right time to arise for these smaller adventures that will eventually help you make progress towards those larger adventures. So make a list of those big accelerators that are your dream accelerators. You don't have to take my list that I made. This is just an example, but here for the slide. But go ahead and make those lists, those big dream accelerators, and then identify a bunch of other accelerator opportunities that you think are a good fit, that you'd like to try out on your journey as an entrepreneur. This list can be really helpful in guiding you. And I actually have a tool and a resource that I'm sharing in the references of these slides that will go ahead and help you identify accelerators. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that slide. And this is the applicant repository here. This is from one of my ecosystem partners, Village Capital. They put together an applicant repository. This will help you identify some smaller accelerators, some larger accelerators, all kinds of accelerators that you might want to join. This is doing the research for you. So go ahead and check that out when you receive that email from Rochelle. I also included every single article I referenced here in my conversation and all that I did to research this. But this leaves us at our discussion point, which I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so we can have a real conversation with our guests today about this process of identifying an accelerator and making the most of the opportunity. And since we talked so much about tips in identifying an accelerator, in building a strong application, to make sure that we get to this component of making the most of an opportunity once you achieve that goal, I'd like to start there. And I'd like to start by first bringing in Samuel to talk about how you made the most of an accelerator opportunity and what advice you would give to these entrepreneurs who are beginning that journey of entering into an accelerator. What would you share with them about how you made the most of the opportunity, and what would you share with them as advice in way of making the most of the opportunity?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think during my time at the accelerator program, I was so intentional to get the best out of it. And as we have been discussing that an accelerator is a short period of time, and you have to utilize that short period of time to have an impact even longer and many years to come. And some of the things, there were so many resources that were being shared during the program. And these resources, I'm using them up to this point. I still refer to the notes, to the resources that were shared during the Watson Institute, during the accelerator program at Watson. And I also ensure that I'm connecting with people and talking to my mentors, talking to my preceptors, asking so many questions, and highlighting all the issues that I have with my venture during that time, because I knew that is the time I was going to meet them easily, and that is the time I was going to get the most out of them. And they will help me. Either it's the my fellow participants during the program that will have a discussion on one of the issues with my venture, or it's the preceptor or the mentors. They all will help you in terms of helping address issues with your venture. So during that time, you have to put as much effort as you can. The more effort you put into the program, the more present you are during the program, the more you'll get out of the program. You have to create time to with your mentors, with your peers, beside the time that has been allocated for classes, or also the time allocated for discussions, or time allocated with your mentor. You have to create more time for you to gain more from them. And also being authentic to yourself in terms of ensuring that you are your best self version, the best version of yourself. And by this, I mean, don't fake or try to do big things so that people can see that you want to, your idea is the best. Bring your idea as it is, have some vulnerability, express it, and by that you're going to get as much support as possible. So with that, you get to attract even people that are going to see the gaps you have, and people that are willing to help you. So basically, that is how I, during my time, I utilized to get the most out of it, and it's been helpful to this moment.
Amazing advice, Samuel. So basically, utilize all the advice available to you, all the experts available to you, including your instructors, your preceptors, those leading the workshops. Utilize those individuals as well as your mentor. Be vulnerable, be open about the issues you're facing, and be honest about where you were at in your work. Love that. Amani, I would love to hear from you. How would you advise these individuals who are considering going into an accelerator to make the most of the opportunity? You're muted.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. So guys, This is one of the best questions that I love to answer. Not only because like I have the best answer to this, because I benefited so much from the accelerator program, mostly maybe than many people that I know who have joined it, even the same programs that I joined. Here is the number one big thing that I would point out, that many people go in and still confused. This big thing is apply this in your real life experience. Most of the people go in accelerator programs and they still take them as the class homework. So they think that, oh, I will do it maybe 20 minutes before. And I admit I did a couple like things like that, but I learned later that I'm just following myself. So I need to apply this in real life. And I got like very, very different answers. So mostly the preceptors will teach you depending on their own experience, depending on the experience they have gathered. But here is the thing. Your social business, your NGO, your business is totally unique than what anybody else in the world has ever experienced. So mostly these lessons that you learn, you apply them and they give you results. So these results are the ones that you use for the next assignment. So if you don't really apply them, it becomes hard for you, like for the next class that you go in, because you don't have the basis from your own experience. And most of the time, many people would think like, okay, the way I think about it, that's how it can be in real life. And it will surprise you. I'm telling you the truth. One of the big things that works for some people don't work for your own business, because they are from a different situation, from a different time, and there is nothing that is going to beat your own real life experience. So like that's the number one big thing. And then another thing that I would really point out is that sometimes we go in accelerator programs with another intention. How much are we going to benefit from the community in terms of money? Sincerely speaking, that's like one of the other things that I would look at. Do they offer some seed funding? Do they offer some grants at the end? And I would realize that that would like deviate me from really getting the skills that I need. And most of the time, when some people reach at the point that they talk about money and they don't get it, it becomes like the end of the accelerator program. And that's how you would realize that many people were there for money, but I have benefited so much from the skills that I have got. The people that didn't give me money, they have given me resources that have attracted so many funding from different ways that I have never thought about. And that's the big thing. They will help you to put the system in place that will attract donors, that will attract some participants, like partners. The partners that I have got through the accelerator program through Watson have made Share Love maybe grow, I can say maybe 3 times, even before the end of Watson program. But it's not Watson program that gave the most big amount of money, but they helped me create a system that really supported me to be in a position to attract a donor. I got someone donating the money because they kept following me through the Watson journey. So at the end, they were like, oh, we've really enjoyed working with you, but our organization doesn't support in Africa. But me personally, I love what you're doing. Someone like gives about 5,000. I was like, I didn't even expect anything like that. But it's only because the accelerator program helped me to get prepared. And remember, like this one big thing, I don't know who said it, just prepare for your time. Then when it comes, you will pick the chance. But again, whether you prepare or you don't, like the time will come. So like that's the big thing you need to get from accelerator programs. Get the system that helps you to attract everyone who comes in. So like that's the big other thing. And then another thing is that I want to also point out the need for help. Some people are out there to help you and you think like it's bad to ask for help. But you know, the people that you are asking for help have also been helped at some point. So like they are willing to support you. And no one, you shouldn't be getting ashamed of asking a lot of support. You know, whether you don't ask or you ask, you still leave the same person. So why not asking? So like that's the big thing. So to all of you guys, Accelerator program will benefit you depending on how open you are to learning and how much time you are going to invest in. Because the assignment that can take you 4 hours to complete, you can still complete it in 10 minutes. And the accelerator, like the teachers, the instructors will not mind about you because it's more like you doing it for yourself, not for someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Amani. There's some really crucial advice in there that I'd love to just pull out and highlight. And one big piece that Amani was talking about is maybe an accelerator program offers direct money, but maybe that's not what the accelerator program offers that is the most important. What is the most important is that it offers the infrastructure to be able to be at a stage where people will invest in you and the connections to potential investors. So those might be better than actually having an accelerator program that has a small amount of seed funding money with it, if it doesn't have the ability to offer you the infrastructure to be able to create avenues and channels for that money. I'll also say that Amani came into the accelerator program quite good at building relationships and in an authentic way. And I think that's a skill set you could all definitely benefit from, building relationships in an authentic way. And then when you have those relationships, you can ask for help because you've built them, you've nurtured them in a very authentic, real way. And I think that's something that Amani does really well and naturally. And some accelerator programs also do teach that skill because I don't believe it is something that is innate in all of us, like it was for Amani. All right, so I'd love to ask a question, one more question that's a shorter question for my panel here, Samuel and Amani, before we get to some of these questions in the chat. It looks like a lot of these questions in the chat are going to be directed towards me. They're very logistical. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started off with, why did you want to participate in an accelerator in the US? And I think we'll start with you, Amani, this time, and then we'll go to Samuel. Why the US?
Oh, thank you so much. One of the reasons to why I participated in accelerator program in the US is about the connection and also my clients. In terms of social business, the clients becomes the donors and then other clients are the beneficiaries. So, but I'm now talking about the donor base that I know that was supporting Share Love Rwanda. So most of the people that I was communicating to, they are people who are either in Canada or they are in the US. Then the skills that I want to develop, I wanted is like specifically, how do I communicate? For instance, how do I improve my communication directly? That's in line with how the US people communicate. And then I wanted to also increase my network and also take leverage of the network that I had. I still had like a few donors, but most of them based in the US. And I knew that if I can build a stronger connection through the Watson program and then get the skills, then I would be able to ask like the right support. You know, like I'm working maybe with a donor who is from America, but I don't know the right way to communicate to him or her. But now I wanted the accelerator program to give me that chance to learn how do I do it. And then I also know that through the accelerator program, I had to meet people. Then who would be even in the same stage like my donors. then I wanted to create that friendship. You know, you don't know, like Miranda, don't know how many people I introduced to Watson and told them, you know what, I'm doing a program right away, close like 2 states from you, and this is what is happening. They get excited. And then that becomes like another advantage. And then another thing I also wanted is like, I wanted to know exactly how do I, when you look at the grants, the grant making organizations, how many are in Europe and how many are in Asia, how many are from Africa and how many are from the US, like specifically the US. There are so many of them. And then which advantage do I have? I have already few connections made through the US. So then that is easier for me to add more connections to where there is a few connections. And that made it easier. And now to where we are, like maybe to say like very specific. One of the guys I met, Kelly, who was also participating in the accelerator program the same time with me, got in love and he fell in love with the work that we are doing. He ended up becoming my partner. We ended up now starting Share Love Rwanda in the US as another sister organization that supports the Share Love Rwanda here. And I think like that's the only, like the strategy now that I had is now working because I have been able to put those donors who didn't have something that brings them together. So now they are together. So now we have a new board. We have a board. And it was only from for me participating in the accelerator program, because now I had where to apply those skills. So like that was very, very important. And you never know how many opportunities also that comes within the accelerator program. I now, the accelerator program ended up flying me to the US to speak on behalf of the accelerator program. Then I took advantage and met the former donors who were supporting Share Love before. So I took like that chance gave me that opportunity. And I think that's like the big part. So you look at where you have more advantage and that helps you a lot. And the future, like that benefits you a lot afterwards. And I think that me having already established friends in the US gave me the chance to go through that program. And then that resonated with them so much. And I think now it's like the big win that I have been able to win, like in the course of my work. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Amani. So it was about connections for Amani, connections in the US that he had, and connections that he could potentially make. And that's why I'm very intentional about the US. I think that obviously it worked out well for Share Love Rwanda. Samuel, I think you have a very different story of why the US, and I'd love to hear yours. And anyone, while Samuel shares his story, if you have burning questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll get to them.
Okay, so for me, with the first accelerator program for the US, I really didn't choose the US, but I chose to take an opportunity that was right for my venture at that time. And the opportunity was referred to me by a friend, and I applied. And locally, there was a Waxon partner that was based in Kenya, and they went through my application. And after seeing my application is strong, is when I started my application right here in Kenya. And so I started my application with the partner. And after the partner is when I went into the application process with the accelerator program in the US. So I started locally and then now to the main accelerator program in the US. And when I saw that this is the right accelerator program for my venture, I took it and I went through the application process until I succeeded into going through the program. So I didn't specifically have a choice that the US and not Europe or any other, but I chose the accelerator program with what it offers. But this accelerator program gave me another opportunity led me to other opportunities to go to the US and do a cultural exchange program in the US. So that's where the connections came in, that I'm now going to connect with people that I used to see them virtually. We used to meet them virtually. And through those connections, I actually intentionally had to find during my exchange program in the US, to find these people that I had connected with and to further my fundraising efforts during that program. And that's during my time, I went back to Watson Institute in person and got to connect with people like Miranda and my mentors, my preceptors, and that was so good to connect with them in person and also to share my story to them in person. And so building that connection over time and being intentional and wanting to be where you can easily connect with people. That way you build stronger relationship and you continue with your relationships, and you gain more support for your venture. You get more fundraising becomes easier for you when you are able to connect with people, building that relationship over time. When you get into an accelerator program, you might not get immediately get the benefits, let's say getting money directly or while you are still at the program. But it takes a time to build those relationships, even 2 years. I still receive coaching and mentorship from people that followed up with me after the accelerator program. And their intentions to wanting to ensure that our idea and our venture continues to impact communities here. And so when you get a chance to connect with them, you intentionally create those chances and you go for them, and with that you get the benefits that you are seeking from those partnerships.
Amazing. A lot of crossover with what Samuel said to what Amani said about the importance of those relationships. One thing I definitely love highlighting that Samuel mentioned was the benefits extending well beyond the actual accelerator and those relationships paying off much later. Love that. And also led to both Amani and Samuel coming to the US. So I've got to meet both of them in person in Boulder, Colorado. And Samuel got to attend a long-term program here. So excellent. And those connections and those opportunities would not have been possible if it weren't for the accelerators that they attended. So I'd love to get to some of the questions in the chat. We have one that Amani can speak to, which is, when should we start applying for an accelerator?
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the chance to answer this question, because sometimes I answer this for some other people here. And one of the big things that happen is actually, as social entrepreneurs, we love what we are doing, and we sometimes just have that passion, and we use the passion only most of the time, especially when we are starting. Like, we think like everything we think can work. But at some point, you reach in a time that you get stuck. So you don't know exactly how to move forward. The passion you had has worked. People have understood you. People have loved your business, have loved your services. But now everyone else is appreciating what you're doing. But on the side, like when you sit with yourself, you find that there is something that needs to be done. And you can't just figure out what it is that you need. That's the right time for you to actually participate in an accelerator program. This is where you are going to meet people that get to open your mind and give you the clarity for what you're doing and where you are heading. You will find people with other experiences that will help you to tell you that, you know what, we've been in the space and on the stage that you are at, and this is what we did. One of the big part in accelerator programs, which I really love, is that also people give you the real life experience. It's not like a professor who has never had a business is going to teach you, like give you that entrepreneurship lecturer in the class that we used to get, but someone who has got into the experience. If someone is a CEO, maybe a founder, for the past 10 years, it's pretty much any stage of your business you are at, they have been through the same stage. So they have faced the same challenges. So these are the right people that you need at this time when you are stuck. So they tell you this is what you're going through, but it's not the end. And this is where most of the people start giving up, because they'll be like, I viewed this, but I don't know what is next. Now that's when you find that you need the skills. Now it is not about the passion that you have. It's about the skills now that you need to back up the passion and scale whatever you're doing and take it to the next level. I think that's all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Amani. Okay, I'm seeing questions in the chat, and I want to speak to some of them. Ingrid says, to apply, it asks me to make a business plan for the US. Why? So I'm going to answer this a little bit, and then I'm going to pass it off to both Samuel and Amani to provide any insight. I'm going to say, if you are looking at an application and it is telling you to provide things that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to make a business plan for the US, maybe this is not the right accelerator for you. Maybe you should be in an accelerator that's going to help you build a business plan for the US. Maybe this accelerator that you're applying to is higher up on your list. It's a bigger adventure than you're ready for. And so that's what I would say. Look at the application, and if there are multiple things on there that you feel outside of your comfort zone, there are other accelerators that will help you get to that level. And I'd love to pass it off to Samuel first, maybe to speak to the application process that you completed. Were there things that were outside of your comfort zone? How did you know through the actual questions that this was a good fit?
Okay, so during the application process, there are some of the questions that they were being asked, and as I mentioned, that I went through stages both in Kenya, filling an online application, and then went to now the application at Watson, which I also filled the questions. I didn't really face questions that I would say they were beyond my understanding, or things that I was not able. All the questions were right for me, and all the things that the program was offering were really right for me. So that at that point, it was really not a problem. I think the point at which I only got little problems is during, let's say, depositing the money. I think I had shared this story sometime with Miranda, that in Kenya, we mostly use mobile banking, but I'm used to mobile banking, and they required me to have a zip code or to transfer money from a bank account to another. So I had to travel, and it had some issues. But besides that, all the questions were appropriate, and the program was right for me, so I went for it.
I love that. And I think that's really important to know. If all the questions seem appropriate, that's probably a good indication that this program is right for you and your business and where you're at. If questions are feeling like a stretch, it might be an opportunity to take a step back and think about if this is the right program for you and your business at this time. Amani, did you face any challenges during the application process, or did it felt pretty right for you too as well, right?
Yeah, I think I have like another different thing to talk about this regarding the questions. So I think the questions were just relevant to what I wanted to do, and I was like, okay to answer them. But there is this another thing that comes in the mind, because I have helped like a few people go through accelerator program. You know, afterwards I was a mentor in Watson as well. So one of the big thing is like people want to apply thinking that there is someone against them. Like you apply with the heart, like you're not going to get in. Like that's something that comes in the head of most of the people. And then you lose that sense of being real. Like you want to make an amazing application that will not look like you. And you feel like that's the best thing. And I think that has never made like a very good application. So someone wants to know you, like in a Leo, like what you're experiencing, what the business is doing, and they don't need a very nice application. They need an application that can give the real information about you and about your organization. And I think that's the only way to avoid that is to know that this person wants to hear your story. So they are not just against you. They are not giving you on a test, like you need to convince them. So you actually need to tell them your story. And remember, like no one knows your story. So like it's your story. So the way you tell it, that's how people are going to get it. Like that's what they are going to understand. So don't like try to beautify something to make it look like the best, and yet it's not you. Because at some point, someone is going to know it. So I think like that's something I wish I had known a little earlier when I started like applying into different things. Because I used to think like they want the best thing, and maybe they don't want my real story. So they need like another best story. So then I tell my story and I want to make it look better than my story. So I think that has given me a lot of trouble when I started like applying for different things. So like that's my other understanding what I have got from like my like some little experience I have got through applications. Thank you.
Yeah,
That is really, yeah, let's go ahead, Samuel.
Yeah, I just want to add something on what Amani is saying. And during the application process, you have that fear that, oh, am I going to get this opportunity? Maybe it's something you really want to get. Maybe this is the best opportunity you've come across to, and you really want it, but you have that fear that is making you not even to, you even fail to apply at some point that because you are feeling that you're not able. And I remember when I was applying to Watson, I really didn't have a clear understanding of the application process. This was my first time applying for an accelerator program outside my country, or actually even just an application outside my country. Not even my country, but beyond Africa. So that was so interesting that I didn't join the information session, but I was intentional to seek information and to ask questions. I remember my back and forth emails with Isabel, the one that was recruiting. And I would ask questions, and I was really into it because this was the best opportunity that I come across during my venture and so, my early stages, and I wanted to get this opportunity. And I knew this is the opportunity for me, and I have to go for it and give my best and be as authentic as possible. So those helped me a lot in my application process.
Oh my gosh, these are great insights, and I could speak on them for time because I believe both of you did such an excellent job during your application process, coming through authentic. And I think that helps you make the steps to get the right resources and support that you need when you can be completely honest about yourself and where your venture is at. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and especially a big thank you for Samuel and Amani for taking time to join us and share their insights and wisdom. I could talk at you all day about tips, but hearing it from two individuals who were able to navigate this experience successfully, both through the application process and through the actual experience, really is the best way to learn. So thank you all for participating. I'll pass it back to Rochelle to close us out.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Miranda, Samuel, Amani. I took away so many insights from this class today, and I'm really so glad you put this content and this discussion together. I do truly believe that this conversation is going to help our audience approach acceleration and incubation programs to find the most fitting opportunities for their unique needs and to move forward with their best selves and with a new viewpoint of how to really prepare for whatever opportunity comes their way, so that they can start to make those authentic connections and make the most of these learning experiences, and any opportunities beyond, really. So thank you to all of you for joining us. We're so grateful to have you here with us. And yes, take care, everyone. Thank you.